All right, ready to dig into some fascinating education news coming out of Nigeria? You sent over a whole bunch of articles
Mm-hmm.
about the West African Senior School Certificate Examination,
Okay.
which, as everybody calls the WASI.
Yeah. Yeah.
But specifically, the results for private candidates just came out.
Right.
And there's a lot to unpack here.
A lot to unpack. Yeah.
I mean, this exam
It's
is...
a huge deal.
Right.
I
Just
mean,
think of it kind of
yeah.
like their equivalent of like a high school diploma.
Uh-huh.
It's like if you pass this thing, it really opens doors for students' future.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's really interesting is that this year was the very first time that they offered
Yeah.
a computer-based option along with the paper exams.
Right.
This is, kind of a big deal.
It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it is.
Like imagine, you're taking this high-stakes exam,
Uh-huh.
but now it's on a computer screen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to add a whole other level of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, a lot to look at there.
Well, and one of the things that really stood out to me is that the number of students who actually took the exam this year
Yeah.
was down about 20% from last year.
Interesting. So, like 65,023 students
Yeah.
took the exam, which is a significant drop.
Yeah, and I wonder, do you think that could be because of the new computer-based format? Or could it be something else entirely?
Yeah, maybe some people just weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
Like they're used to pen and paper and that's what they're comfortable with. And they're
Yeah.
like, whoa, I don't know about this computer thing. Or, maybe it's a sign of something bigger. Like
Yeah.
maybe there's a shift happening in terms of education in Nigeria.
Right,
Like,
right.
what if more people are choosing to go into vocational things,
Right.
or apprenticeships
Exactly.
instead of the traditional academic route?
Yeah. I mean, we'd need more information to really know for sure, but
Yeah, totally.
it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. But let's look at the actual results because that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
More than half the students, like 53.64%,
Wow.
they earned 5 credits or more, including in English and math.
Which is amazing.
It is amazing. And what's even more amazing?
What?
It's a huge jump from last year.
Oh, really?
9.35% increase from the 2023 results.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So that's like a significant improvement.
It is significant. So, it begs the question,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Oh, yeah.
Why such a big improvement? Is it the students? Are they just better prepared?
Mm.
Or is it something about the exam itself that's changed?
Right.
Maybe it's a combination of factors. Who knows?
Yeah. It makes you think.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, here's something that I found really interesting.
Go on.
More female students
Really?
passed with those crucial 5 credits than male students.
Hmm.
Do you think that's like a broader trend we're seeing in Nigerian education?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
It could be, right. I mean, it could be a little bit of both.
Yes.
Like maybe there are things happening specifically related to this exam, but maybe it's also reflecting like these bigger social and cultural things that are going on
Right.
that are impacting how, boys and girls are doing
Yeah.
in education.
I mean, it really makes you think.
It does.
Like, are girls getting more encouragement to focus on their studies?
Mhm.
Or could there be, like, differences in terms of, the resources that they
Yeah.
have access to?
Absolutely. Or, are there differences in the way that boys and girls are taught?
Right.
Like, are there different teaching styles that might be more effective for one group versus the other?
Yeah, there's so many
Interesting
interesting avenues to explore.
For sure. But unfortunately, it's not all good news. Almost 4% of the students,
Oh, wow.
which is a substantial number, like 2,577 individuals,
Yeah.
they're under investigation for cheating.
Oh, no.
And their results are on hold.
I can't even imagine, like, the stress of waiting to find out
Oh, it must be awful.
if you've passed or not.
Yeah, just that uncertainty hanging over you.
Yeah, and not knowing.
Right. Like, did I do well? But wait, what if they think I cheated?
Right. Yeah, that must be
It's gotta be tough.
incredibly nerve-wracking.
Yeah, definitely. And it just makes you think about the pressure these students are under
Mm-hmm.
to succeed. But it also raises some questions about the cheating itself.
Well, yeah.
Like, what are the common methods? How are people doing this?
Right.
And what's WAEC doing to try to prevent it?
Well, and especially with the new computer-based format, right?
Exactly. That throws a whole new wrench in things.
Yeah.
I mean, are there special security measures? Are they using any kind of fancy technology to catch people?
I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, me too. Because, they've got to be doing something, right?
Yeah.
Because from what I saw in the articles, they're taking this cheating thing really seriously. Like, They had over 3,000 examiners and coordinators
Yeah.
all over the country just combing through those exam scripts,
That's why.
looking for anything suspicious, any little sign
Yeah.
that something might be off.
It sounds like a massive undertaking.
It does. It's like a huge
Yeah.
operation.
And they even had, like, designated marking centers in major cities.
Oh, really?
Like Lagos and Ibadan and Benin and Enugu and Kaduna.
So, I mean, they're not messing around.
Clearly, they're really committed to making sure these exams are fair.
Yeah, they're putting in the effort,
Yeah.
which is important, not just for the students, but
Yeah.
for everyone.
Right.
Like, if people don't trust the results of these exams,
Uh-huh.
then the whole system kind of falls apart.
Right. Exactly.
So they got to maintain that integrity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, big operation there.
It's fascinating to think about how these exams have changed over time, too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
We talked about the computer format, but I wonder if eventually they'll just phase out the paper exams completely.
It's possible. I mean, a lot of standardized tests are going that way.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in Nigeria
Mm-hmm.
and what impact it has on the students.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really great, though,
Yeah.
is that they made accommodations for students with special needs.
That's great to hear.
Yeah. It said they provided support for students who are visually impaired, hearing impaired, and those with albinism.
Good for them. That's really important.
Yeah. And their results were fully processed and released right along with everyone else's.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
It shows that they're really committed to inclusion.
Right. It's not just like, an afterthought.
Yeah, they're not just ticking a box.
That's exactly.
They're actually making sure that everyone has a chance to succeed.
And it's fantastic to see.
It is. It's a really positive sign.
Yeah.
But, it's also important to remember that these exam results, they represent years of hard work,
Right.
dedication, not just from the students themselves,
Mhm.
but from their teachers, their families, their communities,
Yeah, it's a whole
everyone who supported them along the way.
the whole village.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers and the headlines.
Yeah.
But behind every single score, there's a human story
Right.
full of challenges, triumphs, anxieties, dreams.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to keep that in mind as we're talking about all this.
Absolutely. These are real people with real lives,
Mhm.
and their experiences matter.
Yeah. Okay, so we've covered a lot here.
We have.
We've seen some really positive stuff,
Yeah, some good news for sure.
but also some interesting trends and questions that have come up.
Definitely. Some things that make you think, what's going on here?
Yeah, like that decline in test takers.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
And then that persistent gender gap,
Yeah.
and of course the cheating scandal.
Yeah.
There are definitely some layers to this story.
Yeah, it's a reminder that education systems, they're complex.
They are. They're constantly changing.
They're always evolving.
Yeah, always evolving.
And these exam results, they give us a snapshot
They do.
of student achievement.
Right. But it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the whole picture.
It's important to remember that these results have implications, beyond just the individual students.
Oh, absolutely. This impacts families,
Right.
communities,
Yeah.
the future of the Nigerian workforce,
The whole country, really.
the whole country.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, we've seen the numbers,
Yeah.
the trends, even a little bit of drama.
A little bit of drama always keeps things interesting.
Always. But here's something to ponder
Okay.
as we move forward.
Yeah.
Do these exam results, do they really reflect what students are actually learning?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they more about, test-taking skills?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Right. Like, are we measuring what really matters?
Yeah.
Or are we just measuring how good people are at taking tests?
That's something we should definitely dive into.
We should. But first, there's something else I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
One of the articles mentioned
Yeah.
this really fascinating detail about,
Okay. One of the articles talked about how they caught those cheating cases,
yeah.
and it was really eye-opening.
Oh, yeah.
They were saying that they have all these examiners and coordinators all over the country,
Right.
and they're just going through the scripts.
Just looking for anything, huh?
Yeah, like anything that looks out of place.
That's crazy. I mean, you're talking about over 3,000 examiners?
I know.
That's a lot of people.
It's a huge operation.
Yeah, and think about coordinating all of that
I know, the logistics alone.
across all these different locations.
Yeah.
It's got to be a nightmare.
It must be a massive undertaking.
It is. And it's not just about having the people, right? They
Mhm.
have to know what they're doing,
Yeah.
these examiners.
Yeah.
They have to be really good at spotting those little inconsistencies, those
Right.
tiny little signs that something's not quite right.
And it makes me wonder,
Yeah.
what are some of the most common ways the students are trying to cheat.
Right. Like, are we talking like
Yeah.
notes or like peeking at their neighbor's paper?
Yeah, yeah. Or like
Or
someone
is it more high tech?
even more. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it's everything, you know?
Yeah.
From the classic, like,
Yeah.
cheat sheet tucked in a sleeve
Uh-huh.
to, like, who knows, maybe they've got some kind of,
Some sort of thing.
like, mini Bluetooth thing going on.
Yeah. Or like,
Especially with the computers now. It's
Yeah.
like a whole new world of possibilities.
that's what I'm thinking. Like
Yeah.
with the computer-based format,
Right.
are there like new and improved ways to cheat?
Oh, for sure. And WAEC's got to keep up, right?
Right.
It's like this constant
Yeah.
arms race.
It is. It's like a cat and mouse game
Yeah.
between the students who want to,
Yeah.
outsmart the system
Find those loopholes.
and WAEC trying to stay a step ahead.
Right. And the technology just keeps changing, so they've
Yeah.
got to keep adapting.
It's a constant evolution.
Exactly. But speaking of technology, we were talking about the two different exam formats.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool that they're offering both, right?
It is. It's really interesting.
Like the traditional pen and paper,
Uh-huh.
and then this new computer-based hybrid thing.
Yeah.
It's a sign of the times, for sure.
I think so. I mean, like,
Education's changing,
it is.
And the way we test students,
Yeah.
it has to change too.
Yeah. I wonder if the move toward the computer-based thing, is it like efficiency?
Could be, right? I mean, it's got to be easier to, like, administer the exams,
Grade them.
grade them.
Yeah.
But, I also think there's this growing recognition that digital literacy,
Right.
it's just essential these days.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to use technology
Huh?
if you want to succeed.
Yeah. In pretty much any field.
Exactly. So maybe by incorporating the computers into the exams,
Right.
they're trying to help students get ready for the real world.
I wonder what the students think about it, though.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Like, are they excited about the computer format? Or do they prefer, the pen and paper?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
I bet some students are all about the tech,
Right.
and some are like, just give me my pencil.
Uh-huh. It probably just comes down to learning styles and stuff.
Right. Whatever works best for you.
Yeah. Something else that really stood out to me
What's that?
is that they're really focusing on supporting students with special needs.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
They made specific accommodations for students who are visually impaired,
Okay.
hearing impaired, or have albinism.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it said that WAEC really went out of their way to make sure that they had the support they needed.
Good for them. I mean, it's so important
Yeah.
to make sure that everyone has a chance to show what they know.
And their results were released right along with everybody else's,
That's great to hear.
which I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, it shows that they're really serious about inclusion.
Yeah, like they're not just, talking the talk.
It's not just lip service.
You're walking the walk.
They're putting it into action,
Exactly.
which is awesome.
And it makes you think about, the broader picture here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to focus on just the individual student, but these results, they also say something about the teachers,
Of course.
the schools,
Yeah.
the community.
The whole support system.
Yeah,
It takes a village,
it really does.
And these results, they reflect
Yeah.
all of that effort
Yeah.
from everyone involved.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk money for a sec. Education's a huge investment right now,
Oh, huge.
both for the students
Yeah.
and for the country as a whole.
For everyone, really. You've
Yeah.
got the direct costs,
Mm.
like, tuition, exam fees, all that.
Right.
But then there's all the indirect costs, too.
Yeah.
Like the time, the resources
Yeah.
families are putting in.
Right.
And then from, like, a national perspective, you got to think about the costs of building schools,
Right.
paying teachers,
Uh-huh.
developing all those materials. It's a lot.
It's a big chunk of change.
It is. And these exam results,
Yeah.
they can really impact all that investment.
Right. Because if students do well,
Right.
it opens doors for them.
Yeah, they can go to better schools,
Yeah.
get better jobs,
Mhm.
potentially earn more money.
Right. It benefits everyone.
Exactly. But if they don't do well,
Yeah.
then it limits their options.
Yeah.
And that can have like a ripple effect on the whole economy.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
chain reaction.
It's all connected,
Yeah.
The student's success is tied to the nation's success.
Yeah. But of course, we've talked about the challenges too.
Yeah, there are always challenges.
Yeah, like the cheating scandal.
hmm
That definitely raises questions.
Yeah, it makes you think about
Yeah, like,
the pressures these students are under
yeah.
and, like, what's ethical
Right.
in these high-stakes testing environments.
So it's like we got to create this culture
Yeah.
of academic integrity.
Absolutely. And it's not just about rules.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than that.
Right.
It's about fostering like a genuine love of learning and a commitment to ethical behavior.
We got to equip students with the tools they need to succeed
Yes. Give them the knowledge,
without taking
the
shortcuts.
skills
Yeah.
they need to thrive.
I've got to build a system that values honesty and hard work
Absolutely.
and a real pursuit of knowledge.
And that's not just a challenge for Nigeria, you know?
I think that's something.
Every country is dealing with this.
Yeah, it's a global thing.
How do we create an education system
Right.
that's actually good?
That works for everyone,
Yeah, that's fair.
and that's relevant.
Especially in this crazy world we live in.
Yeah, with everything changing so fast.
Things are moving so quickly.
It's a huge challenge.
It is. But these WAEC exam results,
Yeah.
they're a good example
Yeah.
of the bigger trends
Yeah.
and the challenges that are happening all over the world.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've talked about individual impact.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about economic implications,
Oh,
even ethical considerations. But let's take a step back
okay.
and look at the big picture.
All right.
How do these results reflect on Nigeria's education system overall?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
It's tough to say for sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, on one hand, you see that improvement in pass rates, which is encouraging, right? It suggests that, maybe those efforts
Yeah.
to improve teaching and give students better resources, maybe
Yeah.
they're starting to pay off.
Yeah, maybe so.
But then you
Right.
still have those issues,
Right.
like the gender gap and the cheating,
Yeah.
which tells you
Yeah.
there's still work to be done.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a mixed bag,
It is.
It's like a progress report
Yeah.
that says, hey, you're doing some things right, but there's still room for improvement.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's okay.
It's true.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a journey.
And it's important to keep assessing, evaluating, reforming
Yeah.
to make sure the system is actually working for everyone.
And preparing them for the future,
Exactly.
which, as we've discussed, is
Yeah.
a global challenge.
It's not just Nigeria.
No.
Every country is trying to figure this out.
Yeah, like how do you create an education system that's
Right.
equitable and effective and relevant
Yeah.
in a world that's changing so quickly?
It's tough. But it's conversations like this
Yeah.
that help us get there.
They do.
So yeah, I think these WAEC results, they're a good starting point
Yeah,
for some bigger conversations about what education should look like in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots to think about.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah,
we're left with a lot to think about, right?
we are.
I mean, we saw the data, the trends, the implications.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
But at the end of the day, this story is really about people, right?
It is, absolutely.
I mean, it's about those students
Yeah.
trying to reach their potential.
Working hard.
It's about the teachers who are so dedicated.
Those who are in the trenches.
And it's about a country that's,
Yeah,
trying to build a brighter future
absolutely.
through education.
It's a powerful thing.
It is.
Education can change everything.
And that's a journey that's,
Yeah,
worth following.
it is. Even after the exams are over.
Yeah, long after the grades are in.
Exactly. It's about so much more than that.
What are your final thoughts for our listeners? Something that we didn't necessarily cover in the articles, but that kind of came up for you as we were talking.
I kept thinking about that shift to the computer-based exams,
Yeah.
and it made me wonder
Yeah.
about the digital divide in Nigeria.
Right.
Like, do all the students have the same access to the technology and the resources that they need to succeed?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right. Like, what if this new testing environment actually makes things worse
Yeah.
for the students who are already at a disadvantage?
Yeah, are we accidentally creating more inequality?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on
Yeah, as education evolves,
as things change.
we got to make sure that we're not leaving anyone behind.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about
Yeah.
having the computers and the internet.
Right.
It's about having the skills
Yeah.
to use them.
The digital literacy.
Exactly. Being able to navigate this whole digital world.
It's essential.
It is. It's the future.
I think this deep dive has really shown us that there's so much more to learn
Oh, yeah.
about education in Nigeria.
There's always more to explore.
I mean, it's complex. It's dynamic.
Constantly changing.
It's multifaceted.
Yeah, it's a big puzzle.
And these exam results are just one piece
One little piece.
of a much bigger story.
A story that's still unfolding.
And to our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring this topic.
Yeah, don't stop here.
What questions came up for you during our conversation?
What are you curious about?
What other angles are there to investigate?
Keep digging.
Keep those questions coming, keep learning, keep diving deep.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive.